What's good, y'all? We back in South Central for season 5 of Snowfall. This your good sis Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with a breakdown for episode 1 from season 5. Let's go ahead and get into it. Franklin Saint is at the top of his game, and we get a little bit of a spring forward in time, a little bit of a time jump as we enter into episode 1. We get to see that everybody is pretty much flourishing. Franklin is flying planes, he's leading real estate deals and running his wholesale business. Louie and Jerome seem like they are killing it in South Central, running their own distribution, buying from Franklin Wholesale. There's no beef with the family as of right now. Leon has to handle a little bit of business in the hood. However, it's nothing that's outside of the scope of what he needs to do, and everything seems to be going well. One of the big noticeable missing in action until he's no longer missing in action is Reid Thompson, who dresses up like a utility worker as he is trying to, I guess, get a little bit of intel on the person who replaced him within the operation of the CIA, helping to pay for the war against communism by way of the drug trade. So Franklin's new handler, Reid, is spying on him, and we get to learn in episode 2 of exactly why, but we see him pop up with this horrible wig, checking out the meters and getting a little bit of information, doing a little bit of recon, and for the most part we don't get to see much from him. So make sure that you subscribe and turn your bell notifications, because I will be following this video with the episode 2 breakdown, which is definitely more about Reid Thompson and what he has going on his end. But in episode 1, it really just threw us back into the world and got us caught up to speed on what's happening with everybody and where this journey of season 5 is going to begin. Now, Franklin ain't the only one flourishing and having a little bit of hobbies and, enjoying aviation like we see at the start of this episode. Jerome and Louie are riding horses at an equestrian center, and Jerome actually goes ahead and buys the horses for himself as well as Louie, and they are having their little, intimate, romantical musings and whatnot. It's really great to see Louie and Jerome in the place that they're in, because they have gone through a lot over the course of this series. I wasn't necessarily so sure if they were going to actually make it or not, but they come into episode 1 seeming stronger than ever. Now, the episode actually starts off not in South Central, but in a dorm room of a few college athletes who are actually snorting a little bit of coke, and one actually starts to have a heart attack and then ultimately dies. And this sends ripple effects across the United States, because it really just mirrors how the crack and coke epidemic is growing, how drugs are really starting to impact people, and then not just impact people who are in the hood. This is at the University of Maryland, a collegiate athlete who was ultimately poised to go on to the major leagues and to be even more, and now spotlight is on drug use for sure. Aside from that, we also get another major problem in the Valley. Rob is out having a good time with his homies, having a party at his house, supplying the coke as he typically does, and one of his little coked out friends winds up shooting another friend, creating a body and another problem for Franklin to have to handle, because now we got white kids dying in the Valley behind some drug use and some gun violence. They're going to be police. There's going to be questions answered. Ultimately, Franklin has to make the decision to wind up putting Rob down after he gets Rob to put the boy down, which I definitely think was a hard decision for Franklin to make, but it's also a loose end that had to be tied up, because Rob has gotten to the point now where he is no longer recreationally using these drugs, but he is a full out fiend. Like, he literally is giving full out fiend the entire episode. I love seeing Peaches in this episode. He is still holding Franklin down and solid, driving Franklin around and is supporting him as he has to handle the whole Rob situation. And while it's not the most important storyline just yet, I definitely think it's going to be a big factor for everything moving forward. Franklin is grounded and poised and a lot stronger than we've seen him in previous seasons, and I think it has a lot to do with, one, his new partner who we're meeting for the first time, as well as a baby that is on the way. He is making decisions now that are really rooted in his legacy, really rooted in stabilizing himself and his family, and stabilizing something to be left behind for the next generations now that he knows that his seed is on the way. I think that this young lady really compliments Franklin nicely, but I'm always very apprehensive when I think about Franklin and love interest, because it just has not gone well for him over and over and over again. Almost to the point where you kind of feel like, is Franklin romantically cursed? And while Sis is giving all the boss babe energy that we need, all of this Bonnie to his Clyde, all of this queen pin to his king pin, I don't necessarily know. For us to be meeting her in this first episode and for her to seem so perfect, it really begs the question of, okay, what is actually wrong here? In the police side of things, because y'all know we always got to get something that's happening within the police department, there's a new officer who is as crooked as they come, who actually winds up getting put into a very tough position because he raids a house that he thinks by bad intel is a drug house, which is actually winds up being a civilian house. And he and his whole crew has laid out this woman and her kids all over their lawn. Come to find out, not a bit of coke, not a bit of crack, not a bit of nothing was in this house. And now he has even more pressure to be able to pop up and deliver something to show for his efforts in trying to control the drug trade and the crime in South Central than ever, which pushes him to lean on Louie and ask Louie to offer somebody up so that he can get a quick win and get his bosses off his back. This dude is going to be a problem because not only are entitled police, crooked police officers a problem when it comes to the drug game, you can only use them for so much, but then if you get a desperate, potentially compromised crooked cop, he can't be controlled, he can't be reasoned with, he is going to make some dumb decisions and continue to make his situation worse before it gets better. So hopefully Louie starts to create a little bit of distance and put some buffers in between her interactions with him and whatever they're relying on him for, because he is going to be a problem this season for sure. By the end of the episode, we are at the top of this hill in Malibu that we saw Franklin looking at from the airplane at the top of the episode, and this is where he wants to build his compound for his family. He brings his girl to and talks about the future. And y'all, it's just, I just had this eerie feeling watching this happen of like, you got all these great plans for things to go right and they're gonna go so damn wrong, which ultimately makes for a great season, but for a stressful life for our protagonist, Franklin Saint. And shout out to him for insulating himself with so many women. When we get to see him land at the hangar, he has these women who are his drivers and look like his assistant when he goes to meet with the new CIA agent. And y'all, I haven't remembered everybody's name yet. This little curly haired man who's about to go because Reid about to get rid of him. When he go to meet with him, the women are there, like they look like they bosses, they look like they got his back. Franklin feels very protected and secure, and I love that for him. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below of episode 1 of season 5. Drop your thoughts, theories, and predictions. I'm gonna jump down there and respond, and I'm gonna see you in episode 2.